Greenland sits on 1.5 million tons of rare earth reserves. But it's the types of minerals that matter. We're talking about heavy REs, the raw materials for F-35 fighters, hypersonic missiles, and the high-density magnets powering the 2026 AI server boom. Currently, China controls 70% of this supply. In the IR world, this is a choke point. If Beijing cuts the cord, the US tech sector doesn't just slow down, it stops. But Greenland is a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark, and the Greenlandic government has been hesitant to open the floodgates to American mining giants. By threatening tariffs, the US wasn't just taxing wine and cars, it was using economic coercion to force a security for trade deal. Enter the Board of Peace. In early 2026, Washington launched this parallel organization to the UN. The pitch? Total American protection and special trade access for a price. President Emmanuel Macron called it the end of the UN Charter. He didn't just refuse to join, he doubled down. On February 6th, France and Canada opened new consulates in GIUK. In the language of international relations, this is called counter-signaling. France was signaling to the world that the Arctic is European real estate. This is exactly what triggered the tariff threat. The US used the threat of a trade war to break the EU's Arctic solidarity. If France pays more for every luxury import, maybe they'll stop planting flags in what the US considers its own strategic backyard. But the forensics go deeper than dirt. Look at the GIUK Gap. Greenland, Iceland, and the UK form the ultimate maritime chokepoint. With Russian naval activity at an all-time high this year, the GIUK Gap is the front line of a new Cold War. The logic is simple. If the US controls Greenland, they control the North Atlantic. They control the Northwest Passage, the new shipping superhighway created by melting ice that cuts travel time to Asia by 40%. This is the new Monroe Doctrine. The US is telling its allies, the Arctic is our neighborhood, and we decide who gets to drive through it. The risk here was, and still is, systemic. Even though the tariffs were suspended after a meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, the damage to the transatlantic trust is done. We are looking at a bifurcated world order, one where the US uses its domestic market as a weapon to achieve territorial goals, and the EU is forced to look for strategic autonomy, perhaps even finding new partners for the very resources the US is trying to monopolize. As of mid-February 2026, the Greenland crisis has shifted from a trade war to a fragile truce. Greenland says their sovereignty is not for sale. The US says national security has no price tag. And the world is left wondering when the next social media post will turn the global economy upside down again. The story file on Greenland isn't about a failed real estate deal. It's about the fact that in 2026, the lines between trade, territory, and war are finally melting away. This has been the Story Files. If you want to understand the invisible forces moving the world, subscribe. We're just getting started.